This episode may contain stories of domestic violence. Please be advised. Welcome to the Sage Advice Podcast, where each week we sit down with people just like you who have left abusive relationships and found healing. Don't forget to check out our website, sage.community, because together we can survive abuse with grace and empathy. Now sit back and get comfortable. The Sage Advice Podcast starts right now. Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sage Advice Podcast. I'm Erin, your host and the founder of Sage. Check us out on our website, sage.community, and join some of our Facebook groups at our Sage community. We'd love to have you. So one of my ideas for this podcast was to talk about different books that I have found helpful in my healing process and really understanding what it is I went through. And we have a list up on the website under the blog section. There's an article about the 5 favorite books to recommend. So you can go and check out some of the books there. And a few weeks ago, I also posted something about Narcissist that got a lot of attention on the site. And so I wanted to talk about the amazing book by Dr. Ramani Durvasula. She goes by Dr. Ramani. And it's called Should I Stay or Should I Go? Surviving a Relationship with a Narcissist. Now, if you're on YouTube or Facebook and you Google narcissist, Dr. Ramani is probably going to pop up. She has tons of videos that really go in depth about narcissism, her beliefs, and her understandings to help you out a little bit more. But the reason I wanted to kind of do a book report and talk a little bit about this particular book is because when I was in my relationship, and I think many of you feel the same, you were definitely not going to be ordering a book called Should I Stay or Should I Go? Right? Like I wanted my partner to see a book that was questioning our relationship. I mean, he would freak out if I journaled because he was paranoid that I was journaling about him, which I was, but that still meant I wasn't going to journal in front of him. And so I certainly wasn't going to order a book called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And instead, I ordered that after I left the relationship, but I thought maybe it would have some pearls, some words of wisdom. And if anybody who is in a relationship is listening, it might be helpful for them to hear what the book says, and so they don't have to worry about ordering it and it showing up on their coffee table and a fight or something like that ensuing. So, okay, like I said, the title of the book is Should I Stay or Should I Go? Surviving a Relationship with a Narcissist. So the beginning of the book starts off, obviously it's an introduction, talking about, is this you, right? She does a really good job, I thought, of using her clients or people that she's interviewed, using their stories and putting it into real life situations. What I thought was most striking about this particular book was that not only did she talk about narcissists and relationships with narcissists in romantic relationships, she also talked about it in parental relationships. So the first introduction really introduces you to some people that, you know, they were married or about to get married, and their partner came to her. And so she's really doing more of a case study, which is helpful because you want to see different angles. Not all narcissists look the same. It's my kind of understanding or my opinion that it's more of a spectrum, right? Some people are really far one way where there is no hope of change and no hope of recovery. Dr. Ramani actually says that in the book, that she does not believe that true narcissists with narcissistic personality disorder can change. because they're chameleons and they show you what you want to see, right? So even with a therapist, they'll go in there and show you exactly what you want to hear. And that's why it's so hard to diagnose. She did mention, and I will say that other medical professionals might disagree with her, but and that was her opinion, that true narcissists are not capable of change. So the second chapter, she talks about, how narcissism is on the rise in our society, especially with like social media and, things just pop culture in general. The more access to information, the more vanity that it creates, the more singular our society becomes, where we don't have people to lean on necessarily, that it creates more narcissism. She also talks about kind of fictional ideas of narcissists. And I was really interested when she said Don Draper from Mad Men was the best characterization of a narcissist. And I watched that show a long time ago, and I'm sure a lot of you did too. And I told my mom that she was a big Don Draper fan. And I think her first response was, no, but he's so pretty. And yeah, he is so pretty, but he was also so toxic. I mean, think about it. The first episode, not to have a spoiler alert, he is this hotshot who smiles at you and everybody fawns over him. And he has a girlfriend, but then at the end of the episode, he goes home to his wife and kids. And I remember when I watched the show, I thought Betty was the worst human being ever. And, she was probably a narcissist too, but he was just not a caring, loving husband, no matter what he wanted you to think. And that really showed as the show went on, when he got married to Megan and how his life just kind of unraveled and fell apart. And a lot of it was his own doing. I mean, even at the end, she'll argue that wasn't redemption, that it was still all about him, right? Because her argument is that the narcissist never changes. So yeah, she calls him on page 34, Don Draper, the quintessential pop culture narcissist, constantly edited his life to make it look better, far more consistent with his dishonesty, selfishness, infidelity, and lack of empathy. His Machiavellianism, ambition, and at times, downright cruelty. Simultaneously, he brought traits of devilish sex appeal, charm, intelligence, and charisma. Interestingly, even with a fictional character where it doesn't matter a lick in our lives whether he's good, bad, or indifferent, we still care about whether he can be redeemed. Oh, and here's where she talks about the last episode. This is page 35 of the book. The last episode was spot on for someone who studies narcissism. The writers and producers ended it brilliantly. Don Draper winds up exactly as he should be, alone. When he finally has a moment of seeming empathy at the very end, hugging a distressed guy who is alienated from everything and everyone in his life, it was the classic narcissistic response. For the first time, Don Draper is offering real comfort to someone, but only because he was experiencing the same distress as Don. Not because Draper suddenly became warm and fuzzy. And finally, at what could have been a moment of meditative transcendence, he instead uses the mindful moment to keep forwarding the cause of himself through the mental creation of an inspired advertising campaign. Even the deep moments get spun into the superficial. I mean, when you look at it that way, she definitely has a point. And one of the quotes that, before she moves on to what I think is the juiciest part, which is, are you in a relationship with a narcissist? We have questions coming up. But one thing she says that really stuck with me about why people end up with narcissists over and over again, or why they start dating them in the first place. And she says on page 36, they validate the broken parts of ourselves They validate the rescuer in us. They validate the concept of hope. Ooh, that's so true. So true. And I appreciated that there were other things aside from the rescuer, because I think that's sometimes an easy out that people say, like, oh, you just rescue guys, or you're a rescuer or something like that. You have to help other people. But it's also that particular part of validating the broken parts of yourself and validating the concept of hope. And hope was a big thing in my relationship. I always had hope that he would be better and he would go back to how he was in the beginning, and hope for a different outcome. And I had faith that we would get there. And so there was a lot of hope in that. And that's just what I'll say about my relationship. So, okay. Chapter 3. This was my favorite part. I'm not going to go through the whole book. I really wanted to get to chapter 3 because the question is, are you in a relationship with a narcissist? And so we have a quiz going forward that I'm going to read some questions to you, and you can answer based on your experiences in your relationships. Don't play a drinking game because you'll probably end up really wasted. But I did think that would be fun. But again, you'd probably end up really wasted. And so as you're answering these questions, there are tons of questions. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of them. But she stresses to think about it as how this person makes you feel. So don't think of it as their intention or what you think their intention is. Think about how you feel from these actions, and you're going to answer yes or no to all of these questions, and we're going to see if, in fact, you are in a relationship with a narcissist. Okay, so question 1. Does your partner seem cold or unfeeling in the face of your feelings or the feelings of other people? Or does he seem to have difficulty understanding the feelings of other people? Yeah, that was a big yes in my book. Okay. Number 2. Does your partner talk about their life, accomplishments, and work in an exaggerated or larger-than-life way? For example, having an impossibly good job, how he or she is going to have the greatest of everything. Is your partner arrogant and convinced of their superiority over other people? I'm just going to stop right there because, man, my ex was so full of himself. It was insane. So yeah, I would absolutely say that's a big yes. Okay, number 3. Does your partner believe that they are entitled to special treatment in all areas of life, whether it be business, from service workers, from friends, from life in general? When they become angry, do they become angry when this special treatment is not according to him? So let's think about the easiest example I can get is waiters and waitresses. Ugh, that was obnoxious. He would scream at waiters and waitresses, and for nothing, because they brought him his water too quickly. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with the law of attraction, where you put out what you want back in the world. And I kid you not, every time we went to a restaurant, my order was perfect. I had 0 problems, and his was always messed up. And I 100% believe it's because he came in with a terrible attitude and he was mean to the waitstaff, and then they always messed up his order. And it was just like, it just happened all the time. It came back to him. So I definitely believe that there is that sense of entitlement, right? Okay. Number 4, does your partner manipulate people and situations to get their needs met with little regard for the feelings of other people. Right? So, just being generally being selfish and not having any regard for anyone else and making the decisions that they're going to want to make, whether that's what they say or that's just what they do. I would focus on what they do over what they say, because that's going to tell you everything that you need to know. All right. So number 5, does your partner become intensely angry very quickly and usually out of proportion to the situation at hand? Yes, he did. Number 6, does your partner often think that people are out to get him or take advantage of him? Yes, out to get him. Absolutely. Even me, because apparently I was doing it on purpose to make him feel bad. That's why I was such a bad person. I heard that a lot. Okay, number 7, I think I know the answer for everyone listening. Is your partner able to hand out criticism easily, but does he have a hard time hearing even the slightest feedback without becoming defensive and even angry? Ding, 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 ding. Yes. I mean, watch out for people like that in general, right? There are a lot of people in this world who do that. And whether they're narcissists or not, it's handing out criticism easily, but then, yelling at you if you try to give them any criticism. And my ex would even try to be like, you don't tell me when things are wrong. Why wouldn't you talk to me? I'm so easy to talk to. Yeah, right. You're not easy to talk to. Okay. Number 8, is your partner frequently jealous of you and your friendships, relationships, successes, and opportunities? That would be a yes, especially friendships. Number 9, does your partner do bad things and not feel guilty about them, or even have any insight into the fact that these were not nice things to do? I would say that he usually did feel bad, or at least said he felt bad. I mean, he knew what was right and wrong. He just didn't care. All right, number 10. Does your partner need constant admiration and validation, such as compliments, awards, and honors? And does he seek it out? For example, through social media or constantly letting people know about his achievements? Yeah, I mean, I would say he was pretty much just a bragger, though. All right, number 11. Does your partner regularly lie, leave out important details, or give you inconsistent information? So that one's hard. That one takes time. I actually found a lot more lies that he told me after we broke up, because I would start talking to my friends who, would talk to him when I wasn't around. So they would hear different stories than I would, even from some of his friends. And then just taking a step back, then you really can see all of the lies put together. So just because you don't think that they lie doesn't mean they're not lying. Look for the inconsistencies in information, because somebody can't keep that up forever. So, okay, number 12. Is your partner an expert showman, making a big show of everything he does, including parties, the car he drives, the places he goes, and the way he portrays his life to others? Yep. Number 13. Does your partner regularly project his feelings onto you? For example, accusing you of being angry at a time when he is yelling at you, or accusing you of being inconsistent when his life is chaotic? Oh, 100%. My life is rarely chaotic. His life is always chaotic. That's something that I think you should look out for if you start dating somebody. Is I've been burned by it more than once, but when somebody starts telling you about different dramatic events in their life, and then you ask, oh, well, how long has it been? Because I don't do drama. And then they say, I don't do drama either. It's been a few years since it's been drama. It must have been my early 20s. Don't believe that person. Run as fast as you can, because they are the drama. All right, let's see. I skipped ahead. because there's 30 questions. We're not going to go through all 30. Okay, 21. Are your partner's mood, behaviors, and lifestyle unpredictable and inconsistent? Do you frequently feel like you do not know what is coming next? Every single day I felt that way. Okay, 24. Does your partner find it difficult to be alone or spend time alone? I'm going to go with a big yes. And so the warning for people out there is narcissists tend to move in very quickly. And although he didn't move in with me, he basically spent every night at my apartment from the second to third date, right? And it started about, oh, hey, I'll come bring you dinner. I'll bring you wine. You know, we'll have a great night. We'll go on a date. I'll come back afterwards. All that stuff, right? And at the beginning, you really want to see somebody all the time. And then it becomes a habit. But then there was also the point of, he's saying that I can ask him to leave, but I really don't feel like I can. I feel like I'm going to get yelled at, and I don't think he's very comfortable with that. So watch out for people that want to live with you right away, because it's not healthy and it's not going to be good. Okay, 27. Oh, wait, let's go to 28. Does your partner become vulnerable or sensitive at times of stress or when things are not going well? Is he unable to cope when faced with significant stressors and become very fragile at times? Yeah, but I feel like everybody can be sensitive or vulnerable. I don't know how I feel about that one. They do put in here, does your partner frequently use his appearance or sexuality to get attention? Is he very flirtatious, or does he frequently use sexy banter with people outside of your relationship in his words, actions, and social media posts or text messages? So that one is very common with narcissists. They want attention, right? And they want, you know, female attention or whatever sex they're interested in. They want that kind of attention. And, you know, they're just going to tell you that you're being insecure and that you really didn't see the true nature of what was going on. They weren't getting somebody's number. They weren't talking. They weren't flirting. You were wrong. Why do you have to be so insecure? Yeah, well, you're not. And, well, if you are, they made you that way. So the way that she does this test, and when you buy the book, or read the book, you can kind of take the quiz for yourself. But it says if you answered yes to 15 or more of these questions, you likely have a pathological narcissistic partner. If you answered yes to 20 or more of these questions, that's pretty much a guarantee. So she says the key questions have to do with grandiosity, which is a big part of a narcissist, entitlement, empathy or lack of empathy in the narcissist case. Generally, they go after people who are very empathetic. Admiration and validation seeking, projection, and avoidance of responsibility. And she goes into a whole checklist of vanity, never takes responsibility, controlling, unpredictable, cheap, gaslighting, emotionally cold, greedy, infidelity, fragile, careless. You know, there's a lot of qualities to a narcissist that you can kind of get into. And she goes into all of them pretty specifically. Like I said, for me, the grandiosity was, man, that was a big problem. He would just throw it in my face that I didn't have a good enough opinion because of who he used to work with and what he used to do. And if they trusted him, then I should trust him too, no matter what he said, because their opinion is obviously more valid than mine because they're, you know, allegedly famous or whatever. So now that, you know, this book has gotten me all worked up about dating a manipulative, angry narcissist, hopefully it got you fired up enough to grab the book. So you can order it on the website, sage.community, under the blog section. It's listed under our top 5 books to read. And we're not an Amazon affiliate because we partner with Bookshop instead. And Bookshop is an online bookstore that supports local bookshops. So wanted to give back to the local book community because I think it's really important to have local books, and Amazon, delivers everything overnight. So if you can wait another day or two, go ahead and order Should I Stay or Should I Go? Surviving a Relationship with a Narcissist by Dr. Ramani Durvasula, PhD. It's at sage.community/blog. You can find the article that gives you the links to order it on our Bookshop website. So go dig in to the book if you can. Maybe even you answered some questions yes when I was doing the quiz, and now you've decided that it's time to leave your narcissist. And then you can order the book because then they won't be around. Won't that be fun? But thank you for joining me with this fun little exercise. I might go through some other books just in case people can't order books and have them sitting around during their relationships. So I hope you enjoyed today's talk. I know I did. And we will catch you next week for another episode. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Well, that's our show. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or if you're willing to share your story, please email us at sageadvicepodcast@gmail.com. Until next week, remember, when you're kind to yourself, the healing can begin. See you next time.
This show was brought to you by inflowradio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.
If you or someone you love is in immediate danger, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. For more information, please see the resources tab at sage.community.